Hey Paul,
Hey,
how you
Bob.
doing?
I'm really good. Good to see you.
Good to see you again too. Got my cuppa on the go, ready for this. So, you and I chat all the time about our experiences and what we see in people, behaviors, culture, all of those lovely things on our travels and our experiences from before, right? So let's not keep those best kept secrets. And look, really looking forward to challenging ourselves and calling out some of those things that we know happen, know get said, and introducing the belter from the bowl. So this bowl, we've got loads and loads of things that we know get said in our workplaces and our cultures. And this is an opportunity for us to get put right on the spot,
Oh, yes.
recall all of those experiences, and call out things and have a conversation because they just don't get talked about much, do they? They get hidden. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think it's perfect. I think this is an ideal little slot. We nail these in quick succession because we want people to be able to enjoy what we've got to say. But
Yeah.
I'm going to say something serious before, and that is just to let people know there were no goldfish harmed in any of these videos when it comes to the glass bowl that you're going to pull a belt out of.
It's such a small bowl. I'll get a bigger one. No goldfish were harmed. Right, shall we crack on?
Yes.
Shall I pull a belter out the bowl? Right,
Yes.
okay, let's just dig deep here. Come on, a good one for the first one. A good one. They're all good ones. Okay, you'll love this one. They message instead of picking up the phone and talking, Paul.
Oh, wow. There's a classic.
Why do they message instead of picking up the phone? I love picking up the phone and talking to people. Why are they doing that?
Do you know, that is an interesting one, and it jumps out, doesn't it? And we often talk about culture, we often talk about generational shift and the differences between two generations, or even more. And for me, this is a classic for that, right? We look, hands up. I'm a Gen X, and I know that you're not
No,
a Gen X.
don't believe it.
Hey, Steve, I knew there's a reason why we did these videos. And of course, as a Gen X, we came into this world with the technical revolution happily beginning. And so back in the day, and I'm not going back,
In the day.
back in the day,
Back in the day.
phones were the staple of any interaction and continue to be so for me, right?
Yeah.
But that isn't necessarily the same for someone like a Gen Z who were born into a world where things like messaging were default, were second nature. There's a difference, isn't there?
There is. I mean, well, personally, I've got background in picking up the phone, cold calling, outbound calling. You get so much from speaking to somebody. You get to hear their their tone, their intention, loads more than you do from a message. I mean, how many times do people message and think, what do they mean by that? And you start overthinking things. But you're right. If you think about what younger people, younger generations, so I'm just at the top end of millennial now, I know. Um, but they they only know messaging. Like every single thing they do. I mean, my even my daughters. I remember the time when they wouldn't even want to pick up the phone to order a Chinese takeaway. I was like, what do you think's going to happen to you? What's going to happen to you? So,
Yeah.
of course, their messaging, everything's message, everything's quick. And what's really interesting is actually the dynamic around being able to understand emotions behind those messages as
Yeah.
well, and the challenges that I see happen because they can't that they're not sure or we're not practiced maybe because of course we use emojis to make it land better because they kind of give us a sense of okay, what's the undertone to this message? But it's easy. It's all they know. Like with you, it was all you knew is pick up the phone and get that instant response and connection.
It is, and I think for me, even now, and no, I'm from the world of technology, right? My background is in technology almost my whole career. And without giving away a date, I started work the same month that the PC was invented, right? So technology for me is really important. However, here's my challenge with the messaging approach, and that is context.
Mm,
Context, I think, is incredibly difficult. Now, I'm saying that from a Gen X. I think it's incredibly difficult to get context. And it's the same with emailing, isn't it?
yeah,
People want to get a message across, but we forget, I think we forget at times that's incredibly difficult to do with the written word, whether that's a text,
yeah.
and I'm going to run with emojis helping with it, but it's incredibly difficult to get a context across and emotional context too. Now, you
Mm,
add into that you and I comfortably will pick up the phone and we can explain context and you'll hear or explain how we feel. It's very straightforward. And to a degree, you can get some of that across with email. How do you do that with messaging? He says, as this Gen X.
mm. Well, I think there's the element of the practicalities of thread, right? So messaging, email, so written text, and then speech and having a verbal chat around it. And I think what so often happens with particularly emailing is when you've got, our inboxes are just not geared up for that to happen. And how many times do threads change and you've got a subject like, I mean, it's hard to keep the context there, the reason why we're asking somebody to do something. And of course, messaging is really instant and immediate. And actually, if you think about how often we get interrupted and look at our phones every day, some like 150 times a day, I saw a stat on. I'm like, what? How much? And we're all worried about struggling about time management. But it is immediate and it forces attention in. So, and also let's not forget that with messaging, certainly for younger generations, they expect immediacy in response. Like they get to see, did it get read? Of course, email has got, you've got to go in and find how do I make sure there's a read receipt.
Yeah.
So we crave immediacy in our communications. I just wonder if actually there's an element of it being around lack of confidence in picking up the phone, or is it a speed thing?
For me, in my experience, I think it might be a combination, but I do think the speed thing is where the edge is, right? And I think
Mm,
it's also when you've got people that feel very, very busy, they can send a quick message and forget about that, right?
yeah.
They don't ring up a phone and go, "Oh, no one's there. I'm going to have to leave a voicemail."
Mm,
The messaging is an immediate, and I think you're right. This immediate gratification thing about, well, I've sent a message. Why haven't you responded in minutes?
yeah.
I think that's a big part of it. But I am going to say, Barbara, that honestly, I think this is a area of compromise is the word I'm going to use. I think I say my generation needs to recognize the shift in how we behave, how we think, the expectations we have, society that we live in. I do think there's a compromise to be had, probably on both sides.
Do you think, though, it's as simple as going and asking them why? The people that are the messaging. I mean, should we feel a bit safer and okay to talk about these things rather than just make sweeping statements in what frustration sometimes?
I think we do. I think we do. But it's a judgment thing. In my
Mm,
experience, I see people so willing to simply judge immediately, right? We know
mm,
you and I, and we can talk loads on this, and we're not going to in this one, but we know how we think in the first instance is our default way of thinking, right?
mm,
We draw up all the experiences we've developed over life and go, here's the conclusion to that thought.
yeah.
And I do think judgment falls into that. And so the minute we
Yeah.
we see something that we can judge instantly, why are they not picking up the phone? It needs to be thought through. We need to force that thought to a point where we engage with our brains to go, yeah, but hold on, let's think about that. I
Mm.
think that's really important.
I agree. And I think there's also an element of sort of allowing for more trust because We've got
Yeah.
to trust that people are making good decisions about the method of communication that they choose. And if we don't trust that, actually, maybe we need to ask ourselves, why have we not educated them in the way that we expect, and those sorts of things as well. Well, that was a belter. Just
Good
thinking
stuff.
about the time, I'm pausing it. We've got to make sure we don't go on all day like we so easily could. Yeah, thanks for chewing the fat on that. Look, we're not here to make an answer happen. It's about widening perspectives and thoughts that, like you said, in the default moment of judgment, which is the easiest thing for us to
Mhm.
do with our human behavior, sometimes it's worth stepping back and thinking it through and thinking, well, if that's what's happening, why is that happening?
Yeah.
And what do we want to happen instead? But
Yeah.
great. Love the chat.
Looking forward to the next one, let me
I
tell you.
know, I know. Well, it's good for us. We get put on the spot with this stuff. I don't know what's going to come out, but you know me, I love a surprise.
Oh,
So
yes. Oh, yes. Good stuff.
brilliant. Nice to see you. See you next week.
Will do, Barbara.
Cheers, Paul.